Marketing has changed since I have started this in the past 5 years. All of you know my full-time income, everything is coming from this digital marketing business. Going back to the beginning, had I known how these levels would look, I would have done things a little bit differently. It's like, how do I sweeten this honeypot? Infinite money glitch. Important things to note about this movie is Christopher Nolan took 9 years to write it. I've only been doing digital marketing for 5 years. Working on one thing for 9 years, it better be exceptional, right? And that's what happened with this movie. People were just blown away by this movie. One of the things is originally I was reading an interview, Christopher Nolan was targeting like 20, 25-year-old males with this movie. And what they found with the pre-screenings, as they were putting together some of the marketing pieces for it, which we're not going to go over today, but they were next level marketing at the time. They had websites that all they had was the little spinning totem that is from the movie. If you've never seen the movie, you don't know, but let me jump ahead to this slide is what we're going to be talking about today. But this thing right here, this spinning top, it's a very important piece of the movie. And not to give you a ton of spoilers here, but that spinning top would help somebody know whether or not they were still dreaming. Because as you started going levels down in these dreams, you might lose yourself. You might not know, okay, is this reality? Is this a dream? Well, if you started spinning this top in this movie, if the top kept spinning, you knew you were in a dream because it eventually would topple over. If it toppled over, you're like, okay, I'm back in the real world. So that's where that came into the movie. But what we're going to talk about today, we're going to start getting into the different levels of our digital marketing agencies and how we can use parts of this film and parts of the concepts to get down to the lower levels. As I was saying, Christopher Nolan originally wrote this for a specific demographic, but he found when that demographic started watching it, it was not necessarily for them. Now, they could watch the movie and they could love the action and the sequence and stuff, but the deeper concepts and the themes in the movie were too mature for them. So older audiences watched it and they're like, I can really see myself in these different levels of these dreams. And again, if I started just sharing the entire movie, I would recommend you just watch the movie. I'm gonna type the movie name. Well, it's right there. It's Inception. So what I've done here is I've used the theme and the concepts in this movie to do a new blueprint for digital marketing. Marketing has changed since I have started this. In the past 5 years, all of you know my full-time income, everything is coming from this digital marketing business. Going back to the beginning, had I known how these levels would look, I would have done things a little bit differently. And looking at what the world is now and the social media platforms and the strategies being used now, they have changed. They have evolved and they have gotten different, meaning most of the world is up here on that first level. Okay, once we start doing digital marketing, we tend to go a little bit deeper. So many of your family members, when you tell them, oh, I do digital marketing, what do they think about that? What is their concept of digital marketing? Whatever they are saying, if they're not in this industry, is going to be that surface level answer. Well, once you start learning, okay, wow, we build these funnels and we are going to target specific demographics to click on landing pages, to opt in for certain things. We get them on the back end sequences. That's just the second level down. Okay, there's 5 levels to this game of digital marketing. There's 5 levels to this business. As I started looking and really researching and delving into this, I uncovered 5. In this movie, there are 4 dream levels that they cover. Now, there might be more, but the 4th one down is basically known as limbo, where you lose all sense and track of time. The first level is kind of like if you just, slip off, nod off in your chair and you start dreaming. The timing, dream time goes a little bit longer than real time, but it's almost 1-to-1. As you start slipping into these like dreams within a dream, time starts slowing down. So if you're in this movie, if you're in the second level down in a dream, it's not like 1 hour in real life is 1 hour in the dream. It might be a week. Okay, you sleep for an hour and you dream. It might be you feel like you are an entire week in that dream. You go 3 levels down, it might feel like a month. You go 4 levels down, and now it's like 1 hour of sleep might be 10 years. Wild, right? That's called limbo because you feel like you're never getting out of that thing. Well, there's 4 levels in this movie, but digital marketing has 5 levels right now. And we are just on the cusp of the 5th. We can't operate in the 5th level right now because the technology is not quite there, but the framework's built. Okay, and we'll potentially not even get to that today. So top level is what our friends and family who are not in this industry think digital marketing is. Okay, you think about the answers they would give you. Second level down is where most agency owners start, where they're learning how to run an online business. They're getting their LLC together, getting all the paperwork, and now they're starting to run ads and they're starting to prospect and attract clients. So a lot of marketers stop and they either give up or they just don't understand what's going on. Well, the third level down is where many of you are on the seesaw here, because you understand there's more to this. If it was just as easy as that second level, everybody on the planet would stop their 9-to-5s and they would just start digital marketing, period. Right? Because they would see, wow, this is super easy. Let me just do this. But there's other things that have to happen. Last week when we talked about the Sprinter method, and I have that right here, and I told you Sprinter method where we went over it was, how do I make $5,000? How do I make an extra $5,000 by Christmas? Okay, and it's really the prospecting piece of things, and then understanding the marketing behind it will help you to attract those ideal clients, get on calls with you. I feel like I'm going to sneeze. No, it's coming. Okay, get that out of the way. We're all still humans. in a dream, I probably wouldn't have had to sneeze right then. So this is also how I make 20,000 in the next 7 days. It's the same exact process. However, everything that I've been learning over the past 5 years. What's going on, Glenn? Good to see you, man. Good to see you and not just your AI autopilot. I know you stick that guy in there every week too. And then some weeks, if I don't let it in, I don't know if you know this, but it only waits a so amount of time, and then it kicks itself out. And I don't know how to go manually find it, so then I won't let it in. There might be settings, maybe you can have it longer. Like if I don't start recording within like the first 5 minutes or so, it just drops off. Okay, so everything that I've learned in the past 5 years, I'm functioning technically around the third level down. There's a whole nother level that I'm learning about in marketing right now. I'm not there. And then there's a level below that as well. So this is what I want to talk about today. And feel free as we go through this to start asking questions, drop them into the chat. All good. It's how to connect and how to make a real connection. This is the R.O.I method. R.O.I method originally was coined by Scott Oldford, marketer who started this game probably about 5 years before I did. 2015 is when this came out. So he's got double the time in this, and he's, multi-millionaire. He loves marketing though, so he still does this stuff. Doesn't need to. Relevancy, omnipresence, and intimacy. Those are the 3 keys to a return on investment in digital marketing in the second level, getting into the third level. So normal digital marketers, if they can understand how to be relevant, how to be omnipresent, and how to be intimate with their prospects, they will close deals, period. Now let's dig a little bit deeper though, because your understanding of some of these concepts, being in this program for a while, you get it. So I want to go a little bit deeper, and I want to get your answers to this. So how can you be relevant with an offer? We'll start there. Being relevant with an offer, what does that look like? Hit the pain points. Yep. Meet their need. I love it. I love it. It's exactly right. We are uncovering what their current needs are. Not past needs, not future needs, current needs. That's the only way we're going to stay relevant, is if it's present, if it's today. So learning their pain points, that you're uncovering their needs. If you uncover your needs, guess what? You can provide the solution to them in a form of an offer. So if they tell you, listen, we run our own ads, but man, we don't like how our branding looks. Well, what's the pain point there? They're uncomfortable with how they're being portrayed online. They're not comfortable with their branding. And if you dig a little bit deeper, okay, great. So have you ever consulted anybody about different types of branding, of how you would want yourself to be portrayed online, want your business to be portrayed? They might say, no, that's what we're looking for. Okay, time out. If I want to stay relevant with them in my offer, am I going to offer lead gen to them? Right, this is different. This is a different type of thing. I know that I have told many of you in the past, stick with your core offer. Okay, core offer being high ticket lead gen. The reason I said that I don't want to throw myself under the bus, but I will a little bit here. The reason I said it is because that's how I started. But when I started, I was teetering between the first and the second level of marketing. See, that's all I knew. I'm like, okay, I don't want to have to deal with all of these other services. I just want to sell people on the highest ticket, which is lead gen. So let me go ahead and do that. Problem with that is I left a lot of money on the table because I wasn't willing to work with somebody on lower ticket services. Now, you could say that's right. You could say that's wrong. Both of you would be right. It's personal preference at this point. However, if I'm going to follow the R.O.I method, I screwed up because I wasn't offering them a relevant offer based on their current pain points or their needs. I was just, okay, yeah, I hear you, but like, I'm only wanting to do this. Let me just like negate everything you just said because I'm just trying to sell you this thing that you really don't even need. It's a terrible way to do business, right? It's not smart. And you're not going to get many clients that way. You're only going to get the clients who fall in to the pain point that is relevant to your offer that you're refusing to change. That turns into a numbers game, which I dealt with. I 100% dealt with that. I would just turn everybody away that was not ready for me to sell them on lead gen. Never went back to them either because I'm like, oh, they don't need me to run ads to get them, leads. That's what I do though. And so that's a problem. So positioning. Oh, let's see. Meet their need. Can you explain that on what left on the table? Oh, got it. Yeah. I was only getting on intro calls, asking questions, uncovering needs, and then trying to get them to the demo presentation. But the demo presentation 100% of the time was on lead generation. That's the only service I was pitching. So if they didn't need that service, if I got them all the way to the end, they're probably thinking, man, this guy wasn't even listening to me last week. I told him we don't need that. We already have an in-house media buyer. We needed help with XYZ. And that is not even in his offer. He's just trying to get us 50 leads every month for X amount of dollars. Like, no, thank you. It's not that they wouldn't have worked with me. It's not that they didn't have the money probably. I just wasn't giving them a relevant offer. And that's just step one of the R.O.I method, right? I was already failing right out of the gate. Step two is positioning. What do I mean by positioning? How to create real connection in my positioning. What does that mean? Real quick, let's skip to the sprinter method. Okay, yeah, perfect. Melinda, that's great. You are the expert. Positioning of my awareness of what they need, right? And the other thing is, where are they online? The sprinter method, the S is selection, and it goes deeper than just, I'm going after med spas. No, that's not going to do it. You got to go deeper, just like these levels of dreams. You can't just say, I mean, the highest level would be like, I'm in the health industry, right? Second level down is I'm going after med spas, a little bit more specific. Well, if there's at least 4 levels, you know that that's not where you got to go deeper. So inside of med spas, what kind of med spas are you looking for? Potentially, how about med spas that have been in business for X number of years, that have X number of employees, that offer X number of services? Positioning meaning, where am I going to find these med spas online? What platforms are they on? Which is very key to note that right after positioning is messaging. How am I communicating with them on these platforms? How am I reaching out to them? And it's not just how am I reaching out to them, it's this is all under the guise of relevancy. How can I be the most relevant with my positioning and with my messaging, which is where the Illuminator strategy was born. Okay, the Illuminator strategy is really still like second and third. Like I started drifting into that third level down, making myself stand apart from all the other marketers when I started doing these short little videos, showing them my expertise. Just like you said, Melinda, I'm reaching out to them, telling them, hey, listen, I'm being relevant. This is what your current marketing looks like compared to the other businesses in your niche in the market right now. This is what it looks like. So this is what I can do for you. Okay, and I'm not giving them all the hows, and I'm not giving them all the answers here. I sandwich it like always, right? I'm commending them for actually marketing, and then I'm saying, hey, this is the types of things that you need to do. But in my messaging, it's a video message, and they're getting to see me, know me. So I'm at the same time of being relevant when I do a video as messaging. So if I do text as messaging, guess what? I don't hit on this bottom one of intimacy at all. I'm scratching the surface of becoming intimate with someone when I send them a cold email. Right. But if I send them a video, now I'm bridging the gap between relevancy and intimacy because they're seeing me. Right. And I need this. I need intimacy. Saying their name, another key point in intimacy. We talked about that last week. Where are they hanging out? What is their network? What I shared this weekend, there was probably a 6 to 9 month stretch a couple of years ago where I didn't have to prospect. Why? Because at the second level down of marketing, I was doing a good job and I was executing, which is the E in the sprinter method. I was getting stuff done. So they were referring other businesses to me. I didn't have to prospect. They were like, "Hey, Evan, would you mind? I've got a buddy that runs a concrete company or a foundational repair company, to be exact. But can I just send him your information?" Yeah, absolutely, send him. Okay, easy sales. Easiest sale in the world is when you're referred by somebody who has told whoever that person is, "You want results in marketing? Hire this guy, hire this girl." I mean, it's mine to lose at that point. Unless I say something crazy on the call, they're going to go with me because they've been referred by a trusted person. And if you're not doing this ROI method right, and you're not executing, they're not going to refer you. Because who's going to refer someone that's just helping them, put some social posts out there? It's not that big of a deal. They know that person probably already has someone doing it, or they can just go to Fiverr.com or they can go on a Facebook group and find that person. But when we have the whole strategy for them and we're relevant and we're intimate, that's when they start sharing your information with people. Now, this one, omnipresence, this is what gets you from the third to the fourth level. And I'm still cracking the code on this. I'm going to jump to the end of the rainbow here. Frequency and consistency in our posting and in our clients' posting. We have to be able to teach what we're doing ourselves. So it's like the practice what we preach. If I'm telling my audience they need to do X, Y, Z, but I'm not doing X, Y, Z, if they look at me and are like, "Well, why would I do it?" Like, "You're not doing it." It's very important to follow this method for not just your clients, but for your agency as well, because they're going to see it. And you're also going to get a lot more clients when you know how to do this right, because the algorithms are going to reward you. Being frequent is how often are you posting, period. Being consistent is, are you going to be consistent with that frequency, period. That's it. It's that simple. Now, if I said type of 2, if in the last 30 days you are consistent and frequent with your social media posting schedule, type of 2 in the chat. Awesome, Glenn. All right, very good. So you're being frequent, you're being consistent, you're on the platform. Your positioning and your messaging has changed since you started doing this because you're using the data to tell you what's working, what's not working. Being flexible is very key. When you watch this movie, you're going to realize, and if we go through this whole thing, you're going to see there's a lot of different parts of the strategy, but building the strategy with the kick in mind is extremely important. Now, if you've never seen this movie, you're like, "What the heck does that mean?" Well, having a kick, if you've ever dozed off, let's say you've dozed off in a chair and you're like kind of leaned back and the chair starts falling, you know how like just it jolts you and you wake up? That's what a kick is in a dream. They had to use a kick to get these people to wake up. Remember, these people are sharing a dream together. So there had to be a coordinated kick to wake them all up at the same time. As they started going deeper into the dreams, a dream within a dream, now they had to have a synchronized kick. It's a wild script. But again, the reason it's so good, it's a guy took 9 years to write it. But you need a synchronized kick, meaning the same, something is jolting them here at this level of dream and also down here at the exact same time. So it brings everybody on different levels of this dream back to reality at the same time. Well, even though they would strategize what to do, things started happening that they did not plan on, that they had to shift. They had to be fluid. Some of these plans fell apart. And maybe the second dream level down, they're like, "Oh my gosh, well, because of this, now we're going to have to change other things in different directions because if we keep going with the original plan, it won't work." Glenn's finding that out. And the only way you can find that out is in real time, seeing the feedback and the data from your messaging, from your positioning, and with your omnipresence. Omnipresence, it just means you're everywhere. Now, here's the cool thing about this. You don't have to be everywhere. You just have to seem like you're everywhere to your ideal prospects with your positioning and messaging on the platforms they're on. Period. That's it. When you do that, they think everybody sees you everywhere. You could have a very small pool of people that would say you are omnipresent. And that's fine. We don't need 1 million people to take us up on our offer. We can't fulfill on that anyway. We just need a handful, right? And if you start getting a handful every month, great. Now you're starting to slowly hire a team. Okay, in this movie, the guy Cobb, the main character, couldn't do it by himself. He had to go out and find all these people to help him with this plan. The same with you. And when you get from a handful a month, now you can go to a handful a week, and you can just keep scaling this thing up as long as you keep the ROI, the relevancy, omnipresence, the intimacy first in your mind. It's called, what I'm talking about here, where you are seemingly omnipresent to a particular person, is called the red car effect. If you've ever heard about the red car effect, it's very scientifically where somebody might want to get a new car and they're like, I think I want a red car. As soon as that thought hits their brain helps them by showing them every single, it's like they stick out like a sore thumb. Everywhere you look, you're seeing red cars. Well, what happened? Did everybody buy a red car in the last 24 hours? No, they were always there. You just weren't looking at them because you weren't looking for them, right? It's the same thing. If somebody starts seeing your messaging at the high level and they instantly, it's just a brand awareness at that point. You know, their eyeball goes across your stomach, like, that's fine. And then they see you on another platform and it's a little bit different. And then they finally take time to listen to you. And it's like, oh, this person actually is talking about one of the pain points of my business. Interesting. Then they see you on another platform again, and this time they're actually clicking because they're like, man, this guy's everywhere. Let me see what else he's talking about. Oh, and then they learn stuff, and now they're booking a call with you because, like, wow, this in their head, they're like, this person must be really good at what they do because they're everywhere. Okay, we can manipulate this easily with retargeting, remarketing, using the data from the pixel, putting the pieces of code at other places so that they're seeing you on all these platforms. And many of you are already doing this. Creating that omnipresence isn't very costly either, because you're retargeting somebody who you've already paid for once. To be able to get that second touch point is many times a lot cheaper. Okay, on a particular, I'll give you some stats here. Let's say I'm spending $50 a day on a lead gen ad, trying to get someone to, book an appointment or to fill out, name my phone number for a free PDF or something. Well, anybody that goes to the page is a page view, but doesn't become a lead, I just retarget them and I might be spending $5 a day. Why? Because the pool of people is a lot smaller each rung of this thing. But everybody that sees that retargeting ad, I'm now starting to become omnipresent to them. And I'm just getting them to go back to the original page that they've already seen, but they never opted in. Now they're opting in eventually. Well, now I have another retargeting, and remarketing means just on a different platform. I can retarget and remarket those people who become a lead but don't book a call. You see what I'm getting at here? Now I'm everywhere. I'm following them around the internet. And if my potential solution scratches the itch that they have, which is what their pain point, what they need is, they're going to book a call eventually. Might not be the first day. Just like you start seeing red cars everywhere, you're not just going to pull into a dealership and buy a red car. A couple weeks later, though, you might. A month later, you might. And then once they opt in, I'm now also in their email. I'm also in their text messages. I am omnipresent to them. I'm everywhere. All right. And I might be everywhere for 8 people this week. But to those 8 people, I am the answer to their problem. And I'm the only answer. And in their head, I'm the red car effect. In my head, everybody else is probably hiring me because everybody else has the same problem, right? Anytime you have an issue in social media, you just assume every other business owner is struggling with the same thing. And when you see someone with a solution, your mind says, oh, they're probably helping everybody else that has the same problem. Let me hire them too. I haven't ever said that to them. Our brains do that for us. Their brains are helping me make money because it's just how people think. Couple different ways that we can go here. I'm going to go with the next slide down just to keep things going in order here. Reality check. Is your brand recognizable? Okay, now this is talking about your branding. It's also talking about your client's branding. I'm going to show you a live example of a client that I got that we did a full brand awareness we did some research and we provided him what's called a brand assessment. Okay, so we look at everything, we do SWOT analysis, and I'm going to show you that now. It's for a client. Many of you have probably heard me talking about this client before. Client's name is Rob Alasola, and the business is Rob Built. This guy coaches people on how to start and scale Airbnb businesses. He started off with glamping, just a YouTube channel about glamping, which is glamorous camping. Like it's a very low cost. You set up a tent for somebody with some amenities ahead of time, and you just rent it out just like you would a house. And it's just called glamping. You can rent them out on Airbnb too. And then he started getting into actual homes, renting the homes out on Airbnb, and then teaching other people how to do it. So when he hired us, my team, he was hiring us to get him out there more. But we had to start at the top, which is, well, when you get yourself out there, what are they seeing? Is it congruent across all the platforms? What's your brand look like? That's what we did. The first thing we do in a brand assessment, that's the branding piece. After, do you think, somebody going through that presentation and we build everything out for them, is your brand recognizable? Well, his definitely would be, because we put all the pieces together. So now I'm asking you, is your brand recognizable on all the platforms? Does it look and feel the same? If not, well, great day to start planning this out, to start looking at what a brand assessment would look like for you and your agency. When you take on a client, one of the first things you need to do is a brand assessment for them. I'm not saying you even show it to them. Now showing it to them is a big value for them because you're showing them you're an expert. Potentially showing them and putting in the work on this on the front end might be a huge, prospecting play, kind of like an illuminator strategy. Now it's going to take you a lot more time to put something like the brand assessment together than it would to, film a quick 3-minute video. But if you do it, they're going to see you as an expert. And it's really not that hard. I mean, I can give you that Rob Built template. Actually, I'll do it right now. What questions do you have on anything we talked about today? This is where we get into that second and third level of social media. The top level is just going to be, Facebook, Instagram, you're posting, and then you get into some of these videos and you get people learning more about you. This is where most people screw up. Okay. You get a little bit deeper into this marketing thing, and a lot of people they get shell shocked. They don't know what to do. They get confused. They're not seeing traction, and they either quit or they jump into something completely different. Something else that's at the surface level again. And then they get a little bit down, and then they get confused, and then they jump to something else, and they never get all the way down to the bottom, because what most people don't understand, the best product you can ever sell is yourself. Okay. People that are jumping into TikToks, I give them a lot of credit for getting out in front of the camera, but if they're trying to sell a product, good luck. There's way too many people out there trying to sell the same product. Let's look at like health type stuff. Maybe it's a weight loss or a protein powder. I mean, you scroll enough on TikTok, you're gonna see a million of those things. Okay, why would I buy from this person? Why would I even listen to this person? You have to sell yourself first. And it's just you getting uncomfortable or getting comfortable with being uncomfortable and putting yourself out there on videos. And we've talked about this so much, but I know a guy that he's making 5 figures a month. Okay. It's not astronomical, but I think he's broke the 15K a month thing. And he's got a very small number of followers. I mean, he's got less than 10,000 subscribers, followers, whatever you have on these social media platforms. Nowhere near who I would even consider to take on as a client for a subject matter expert. I look minimum 100,000. And ideally I'm looking at people with 1 million plus subscribers, and there's over 1 million of them. Like, it's kind of crazy how many people are out there with huge audiences that are not monetizing. But this one gentleman, he is consistent and he is frequent, and he is very good about just talking about himself, or talking about really not himself, talking about the people that are watching and engaging with them and learning more about them. It's kind of like a live long-term intro call with his audience. Okay. Intro call, all of you should know at this point, is just asking questions. So people will scroll and they'll see this guy going live and they'll chime in a little bit. And most of the time when somebody jumps into his live calls, it's not him talking. It's whoever else is on the call that he just asked a question to. And people people gravitate towards that. And so the layers of client engagement, if you can just start asking questions, any of you could go live right now. I mean, there are certain platforms that you have to have. I think TikTok, you have to have 1,000 followers to go live, but YouTube, no problem. Instagram, Facebook, you can go live right now. And you can just start asking people about them. Okay. And they're going to start seeing you just because you're asking them questions. They're going to start seeing you as the authority and the expert. So then when you do have something to sell them on the back end, you're going to be ready. That's what this guy does. All he does is ask questions. That's it. That's just like his silver bullet. And I'm like, it's so smart because all these people are starting to be endeared to him because he's asking them questions. And then he has and we'll get in this in a second. He's got multiple things that he sells, but some of them are low ticket and some of them are high ticket one-on-one stuff he doesn't even promote. The higher ticket stuff on the back end, people come to him for it. And that's what all of you should be doing. You put yourself out there, people will come to you and they'll ask you for help with their businesses. That is the golden goose for people to reach out to you. Well, how are they going to do that if they don't know you exist? Right? They can't. It's impossible. No, somebody's just not going to randomly email you or message you. Hey, can you help my business with marketing? How does it start? It starts with them seeing you, giving value, or just asking questions, engaging with people in a human way. And then they just start slowly but surely. This is wild. I have a client that we sell high ticket stock trading courses to. And every once in a while, I'll see somebody buy, and I'm like, I don't even recognize that name from anything. So I looked at this guy. He bought a $1,500 course yesterday. And I started digging. He never opted in for anything but the newsletter, which is like the most generic, basic opt-in on the website. We're not even talking funnels that we're spending a fortune running funnel. Excuse me, in February of 2023, he found the website, probably from some organic search query on Google, and he joined the newsletter. He has opened 96 emails since February. 96 emails just blew my mind. I'm like, what is this guy? He just opens emails but like every email that I've helped write for this client stuff, he's just one after another. He's opening the weekly newsletter email that we send out. He's opening these free mastermind video emails. He's opening these just value-based emails that I write about options and futures and all this other stuff. Just email. 96 emails in, and he finally buys one of our higher ticket courses. It's people, right? But if we weren't putting ourselves out there, and this isn't even video. I mean, video speeds up the process, but this is just emails. He's done nothing. He wasn't in the Discord for the trader has like a Discord so people can, get in there and they can communicate and they can learn it. He wasn't even in that group. The only communication he had from this trader was emails, 96 of them, and he finally bought. Okay, so email is not dead. It just takes longer for a lot of people if that's all the only communication they have. But being able to be physically present with somebody on a live call, Kyle, I'm looking at your setup there. There is no reason why you're an expert in probably multiple things. There's no reason why you shouldn't be putting a little ring light on you just to lighten up your face a little bit and just going live on these platforms and just seeing what happens. It could be the game changer for you, and just asking people about them. Hey, what kind of business are you in? Okay, great. Is that something you want to do forever? Or you open to side hustles? What are you thinking about? Are you an entrepreneur? You ask and they're like, yeah, you know what? I've always thought about maybe starting to blah, blah, blah. Oh, shoot, what's stopping you? So you just acting like just asking questions makes you the expert. And it also shows you as like an authoritative figure for everybody else who's chiming in, just kind of listening to other people talk. What I found is on most of these lives, regardless of the platform, you got about 10% of the people watching that are ever going to engage at all. There's 90% that just sit there and they just listen. They're just fly on the walls. It's just like watching a train wreck in front of you. Like you have there's no dog in the hunt, like we say here in Tennessee. They're just sitting there watching, but they're learning. It's like this guy that opened 96 emails. He wasn't interacting with anybody. He's just sitting there by himself, opening email. And the only way I know he was opening them is because I can get into the analytics of Active Campaign that we use for emails, and I can see every single one that he opened. Other than that, I don't know if this guy exists. Nobody does. right? But then 96 later, he's spending $1,500. So the more you go live, the more you put yourself out there. Now, videos are good too, but videos, it's just frequency and consistency. Putting yourself out there in videos is good too, but man, going live is like fuel to the fire. And swinging back to this one guy, he has very few. He's making, 15K a month. I would say he said he was making five figures. He'll do a live Zoom call every week, right, just like this, and there's hardly anybody there. He's got a very small audience. Okay, it's very niche specific, but he's been able to do it by just going live a lot. That's it. That's all it takes. And just asking questions because people just start coming to him every once in a while. They message him, hey, I got XYZ business. Do you think you could help me build it up a little bit? And the wild part is that this guy doesn't have millions of followers, right? Like it's the engagement and the proximity and the intimacy that he's created with these people that watch him. It doesn't matter how big he is. Logically, you think, well, why are these people asking this guy for help to blow up their businesses in a good way when he doesn't have that big of a following? Spoiler alert, like that doesn't matter. Isn't that wild? You would think people would be vetting this person, that in particular that I'm talking about, and they'd say, wow, you know, I don't want to listen to you because you got like so few, like nobody's listening, nobody's even here. Like, why would I listen to you? Doesn't matter at all. How he makes them feel and how they view him because of these lives every once in a while. This guy just is good at taking this thing and just hitting record or yeah, just going live, which is recording, and it's working. So somebody like that, you all know so much more about this industry, about marketing, period. About your daily lives. The other thing too is you don't have to just always talk about business. Talk about life. It's like the daily post. Think about this: the daily post power that I shared recently with you on what to post on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. What if you use that to go live instead of an organic post that you're putting out there? Use it as a topic to go live. Nothing wrong with that. One of the things is asking recommendations. Instead of me putting a post, a static image over a color that says, "Thinking about taking my wife out to dinner this weekend. What do you suggest?" What if I just went live? Like, hey, I'm just coming on here today. I'm wanting to know, I'm going to take my wife out on a date this weekend. Where do y'all think I should go? I was thinking maybe Mexican. What do you think? And then they all just start chiming in. And now before you know it, you got conversations going on within the conversation itself. And just people are there flocking. And then you got all these wallflowers sitting there just watching everybody else talk. And it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And then you're like, okay, you throw in these tiny little subtleties here and there. Be like, okay, yeah, I've got a bunch of coaching calls with clients this week, but man, it's going to be fun to go out to dinner with my wife. Just something simple. Well, what are the people going to ask me at that point? Hey, what do you coach on? Oh, digital marketing. I help people scale their, blah, blah, blah. Like, I'm not pitching anything. It's just coming up in normal conversation because I'm getting on there live talking about where I'm going to take my wife for dinner. Like, if you have a master plan, it does not have to be rocket science. It's just you being a human. All right, let me see. I got some stuff. Yeah, build and he will come. Yeah. Did you say you have to have 1,000 on TikTok? Yep. Heather, if you got 1,000 followers, I believe that is the TikTok item. Unless if you have an older, so I have heard some people with older TikTok accounts. I recently started TikTok. I've never been on TikTok, but I'm like, I started doing a lot of research for this talk that I gave, and I started realizing very quickly TikTok is the leader in the way that social media is done. And all these other platforms follow TikTok. When TikTok came out with these short little videos, I don't know if you know this, but the other platforms didn't have it. There were no stories, reels, shorts on YouTube didn't exist. So everybody, like, they followed suit. Well, now TikTok is getting into these live. And recently TikTok has had all sorts of push for their content creators. That's just whoever's on their platform to go live. And they're giving them incentives and all this kind of stuff. Like they're moving the whole population to live. So the quicker you get on board, the quicker you're going to benefit from it from a number of reasons. If they can validate you as a content creator, you can go live on TikTok with no following prompt. Yeah, I think you can send a support message to them. Maybe shoot them a quick video or something, and I think that you can put that in there, and they'll open it up to you. So it's not strict. but you have to, I think, request it. Or again, if you had an older TikTok account, you could have gone live. And I think if you used to have that ability, you probably still have it. It seems like Instagram growing as fast as TikTok. Yeah, IG's growing quick too. Reels are definitely out there, and then live, going live on Instagram too is a thing. I would post on both. Yeah, absolutely. Let me get back into this. So layers of client engagement. Getting inception to happen with your agency, there's three keys to it. Yo, my graphics guy did a great job on this slide deck. I love it. So number one is a synchronized strategy. It's exactly what you just asked me. Okay, should we post on both? Yeah, you should post on many. And I made the mistake. I've told you all this before. I made the mistake when I started, teaching all this stuff early on. It was a mistake and it wasn't a mistake. So I used to say, don't go a mile wide and an inch deep with all of these platforms. Go an inch wide and a mile deep. And I chose Facebook. I just learned everything I could about Facebook. And as a result, I'm very good at Facebook. I'm really good for my clients on Facebook, Instagram as well, because it's really just a click of a button. You can advertise on Instagram. It's owned by the same company. But that's what I did. Where I failed, where I made a mistake, is not starting early enough on other platforms. Okay. Once I became a master at Facebook, I should have started learning the other platforms, and I didn't. I just stuck with one, and that's a mistake, because you need to be able to have a synchronized strategy. Case in point, I shared a video this morning on YouTube as a short. I'm also sharing it on TikTok at the same time. Portrait style videos, they work on all the platforms. Now, you can do more platform specific content, and I am not the master at that, but each one of these platforms, the audiences are slightly different. And so if you wanted to go next level with this, you could have the same content filmed in different ways for each platform. I'll just be very honest with you. I don't have time for that. Even if I did have time for, I'm okay with just, shotgunning it, scattering all of my content across the different platforms, knowing that some of the audiences are going to be shared, which is great, especially if I'm running ads. I can hit that omnipresence for that person, because now they're on the different platforms and they're starting to see me on all these different platforms. It makes it feel to them like I am everywhere, which is great. Some people, though, only have TikTok. Some people only use Instagram. There's a lot of people that only use LinkedIn, right? There's just, some professional type people that are like, I'm not on these social platforms, but I'm on LinkedIn every day. Okay, well, if I'm in an industry where my potential clients are professionals and I'm not posting on LinkedIn, what am I doing with my life? Right? Like I'm barking up the wrong tree. If I'm going after chiropractors, I don't really need to be on TikTok. Are the chiropractors on TikTok? Sure. But where do I definitely need to be? On LinkedIn. So I start base of operation somewhere, and then I just start slowly branching out, and I synchronize it. The fact that high level gives you the ability to do the social planning, to post it on all these things and schedule all out, there's no reason why you shouldn't be doing that. Now, you also should have a synchronized strategy when you're going live. Now, this is a completely different training. It's more in depth. If you have something like OBS, which is, I think, what is it? Open Broadcast Systems, something that allows you to go live on multiple platforms, because you can sync it up. And there's a lot of people that do that. Recently, these platforms are wanting you to go live to the point where they're okay with their competition. Up until very recently, Twitch is a streaming service. You can go live on Twitch, and it's for a lot of gamers are on Twitch. A lot of other types of people just like talking throughout their day. It's almost like the Truman Show to a certain extent. If you've seen that movie, just watching people all day long. Well, Twitch, up until recently, didn't let you, and TikTok the same thing. They didn't let you go live on another platform with the same content. It was violating their terms of service. Well, now they're fine with it. They just revamped their terms of service recently to where it's okay. They'll say right there, if you want to go live on other platforms, you can do that now, which that's a game changer, y'all. Like you don't have to choose anymore. You don't have to pick, okay, well, if I'm going to go live today, I might as well go with TikTok today. Maybe tomorrow I'll go with Kick. Maybe the next day I'll go with Twitch. Now you can stream to all of them. Now it's technical, but just go to YouTube. How do I stream to multiple social media platforms at the same time? And you're going to very quickly come up with videos that are talking about Restream and OBS and all of those things that you do. OBS is free, by the way. You just download the package to your either your Mac or your Windows computer, and you learn it. There's a learning curve, but there should be, there should be a little bit of a learning curve to something that could produce unlimited income for you. So I'm okay with the learning curve. I'm learning it myself. Okay, next up is start with the kick in mind. If you've seen the movie Inception, if you haven't seen Inception, watch that movie. It's really good, and this is going to make a lot more sense to you. But the kick in this movie, if you remember me talking about, the movie was all about shared dreaming and getting into somebody else's dream and either like infiltrating and grabbing information from them or planting. That's the hardest thing to do. It's inception. You're planting an idea in somebody's mind in a dream to where when they wake up, they're actually going to implement that thing. The kick helped them come out of the dream. Let's say you're nodding off in a chair and the chair starts tipping over and like you get a little jerk and it wakes you up. That's what the kick is. And when you're doing multiple levels of dreams, the movie was pretty wild where the kick had to be synchronized through the different levels of dreams so that everybody that was in the dream together could come out of the dream at the same time. If they didn't get the kick right, there was a potential for the people to stay dreaming and to fall into what's called limbo, which is like a mental state of it feels like you're in a dream for decades and it's not a good thing, right? So you want to kick everybody out. Well, synchronizing the strategy, I'm giving you a very proven and non-overwhelming task here is to pick 3 platforms, okay? Think about your ideal target market. Where are they hanging out? Pick 3 and dig your heels in and start planning the attack for those 3 platforms. Is it going to be LinkedIn, Instagram, and Twitter? Is it going to be Snapchat, Facebook, and TikTok? Doesn't matter. Pick 3. Okay. Now you look at the greatest influencers on the planet, and they're on all of them. You don't have to be on all of them. You can start with these 3. Just don't be on one. Not with how easy it is to be on multiple nowadays with technology. Choose 3 and start learning about those platforms. Within one full day, because of the technology that's at our fingertips, I don't care if you're asking ChatGPT, if you're asking YouTube, if you're asking Google, within one day, you could be a force to be reckoned with on 3 platforms. Well, let's say I hadn't done it yet. Let me get on with ChatGPT. Hey, ChatGPT, I'm a digital marketer. My ideal clients are XYZ. I am wanting to create a master plan for 3 social media platforms. I need you to give me all of the details of this plan. I need you to tell me when to post on each one. And I've done this. This is kind of how I got the best times to post document for y'all. If you haven't seen that yet, I'll share it real quick with you because I use this all the time. It's got best times to post on all these platforms, which would also coincide with the best times to go live. It also has emails, best days and times to send an email. Okay, next up is designing the path. This is like beginning with the end in mind. Same thing. So it's one step deeper than the 3 platforms you're using. What is your ultimate goal for these prospects? Okay. What are you trying to sell them at the end of the day? And are you selling one thing or 2 things or 3 things or 4 things? What is your value ladder? How do you want people to progress or to choose which part? Like if you don't have your path and all the different products and services that you're going to offer yet, well, let's not start posting live quite yet. Now, it's great. I mean, you can put yourself out there and know that later on, I mean, you can build your audience now, but it's probably a really smart idea for you to know what you're going to be selling these people. If they were to message you, hey, you seem like you know what you're talking about. Can you help me? Like, I'm thinking about doing XYZ. Do you have anything that can help me with that? Well, you want to be able to say yes to that question. So designing the path. What are you selling? What are their price points? What is the value ladder? And before we get into the next level of this, we go deeper into this, I can tell like the medicine I'm taking for my sinuses is messing with my brain right now. I'm like moving things to different parts of my computer that I normally don't do. Value ladder. So at the bottom, ideally, you want something free, period. That anybody, all these eyeballs that are just watching you, all these wallflowers that we've been talking about, like the guy that was in the newsletter, the free newsletter, 96 emails before he bought high ticket. You want that thing. So, what is your free lead magnet of sorts that they must opt in for? You want to be specific. You don't want to be general here. You want to be specific to the niche you're going after. Because if not, there's just too much competition out there. But if you can speak directly to somebody with something like this, all the better. Okay. Then we have low ticket, mid ticket, and high ticket. Okay. Low ticket, typically $1 to $99. Okay, now you go to lots of different websites, you're going to see all different things. But the clients that I have had over the last 5 years, we have tested all sorts of stuff, and we have found that this works best. So low ticket, anything from $1, $7, $17, 27, 47. It's psychological. Okay, like the number seven, it in somebody's head, it feels like it's on sale. So they're getting a deal. That's why people do that. That's why you see everything ending in sevens. Nines, same way. It just nines keeps it from bumping into that next price point. And so to a consumer's mind, if something's $99, it's not that expensive because it's not $100. I mean, it's $1 off. But mentally, that's why you're going to see that in Walmart, in Target. I mean, worked at Target for many years. There was a lot of psychology that went behind the pricing that we did out on the sales floor. Mid ticket, a lot of times I'll go 197 and then I'll split test with 297, because if somebody's willing to spend 197 on something, then they're most likely willing to spend 297 on it, because like it's not that much different. If they're willing to spend 297, they're probably willing to spend 397 and 497. Then there's a little bit of a mini break at the $500 mark. Big round numbers are mines. It's like we silo those numbers off. And so after $500, if you're going to charge $697, I'd be like, what are you doing? Why are you charging $697? Why don't you try $997, see if it still sells? Because between $697 and $997, psychologically, it's the same number to people. That you really don't think too deeply about the difference between $697 and $797. Like if you're going to buy it at $697, you're also going to buy it at $797. You see how that kind of works psychologically? Over $1,000, and some people say over 3,000. I've heard over 5,000. I mean, I know people that will sell something for $2,000 and call it mid ticket. Well, it's not in my experience. Over $1,000 is considered high ticket. It needs more context. It needs a little bit more sales strategy to sell higher ticket services. Somebody's going to buy something for, again, $3,000. Why are you selling it at $3,000? Because they're probably going to buy it for $4,000. If they're going to buy it at $4,000, they're probably going to buy it for $49.97, because it's not quite at that $5,000 mark. Okay, it all works the same. That's why people say, I'm increasing my prices. What they're probably telling you, they're not going from $100 to $10,000. They're moving up in the bracket that they're in. Because and most of the times when you hear them come back to you, like, yeah, it's so great. I'm like, yeah, because mentally it's the same price to people. It's the same bucket of pricing. So if they're willing to pay this, they're probably willing to pay up to this. And then to go over that, you're going to need more XYZ. It could be more explanation of the product. It could be higher value. It could be adding additional services into it as a bundle. So getting up into the higher, here's the thing too, is as you go up this, you go from DIY to DWI to DFY. Okay, the higher up you get on this ladder, it changes from them doing it themselves, so do it yourself. Okay, you're not going to get any help. If you're going to opt in for this thing, you're going to pay me $47. You don't get my time as well. Here's the thing, you do it. Okay, as we start, $497 product might be here's a course, and it's a monthly call with a group. It's a little bit more intimacy. Well, if somebody's paying $15,000, then it's probably in-depth program with a lot of additional support, bundled items, bonuses, things, and the ability to potentially, after the 15, 20K mark, you might be talking about meeting in person, like a live event of sorts. So it's all about proximity and intimacy. It's still the sprinter method going up this thing. You just go up there quicker, the more of the sprinter method items you have in there, right? Like, it wouldn't make sense for me to sell one-on-one time with me, a group mastermind, weekly calls, a program that I've put together that's got like, 60 modules, always. It wouldn't make sense for me to give that away for free. Right now, what can I charge for it? Well, it's a great question. One, you can do market research. Okay? You can see what else is out there in the same industry, what people are charging. And one thing I'll say is you never want to be in the middle. Okay, so if your industry is basically charging, we'll say between $500 and $2,000, the last place you want to be is here in your pricing. Okay, you either want to be $497 going for volume, grabbing everybody, or you want to be premium. You want to be 4K to where someone's like, whoa, wow, what's the difference here? It must be really good. I mean, perception, 9/10 of the law when it comes to marketing, people's perception. And it's kind of wild. I've seen people just keep increasing prices, and they're the most expensive player in the game in their industry. People still buy from them. Why? Because if somebody has disposable income and they want help with something, and they look and, well, there's three main people that do this. This is the most expensive, probably the best. I'm gonna just go with this because money's not an option to me, so I'm gonna just buy this one. I mean, it's kind of crazy, but it's the world we live in. Okay, so think about when we go back to designing the path, think what this is going to be for you. Think about one of these. Think about one of these. Think about one of these. What are you going to offer in each one of these? Because if somebody, and I've learned this from watching all of these platforms, it's all about what's in the bio, what's in the description. Most of these people have what's called a link tree or a we'll do a stand store. They can sell stuff very easily to where, hey, if I am watching this person from the sidelines for long enough, I might want to see what they have to offer. Let me click this link. When you go to that link, well, what if they just had, it's basically in the shape of a funnel, right? It is free. Then they give, low ticket, mid ticket, high ticket. It's going to be a lot fewer people make it down to high ticket, but giving them everything all up front, it's a great idea because then people get to decide. Okay, it's not if I'm going to buy from you, it's what am I going to buy from you? Which one? Which is great. And if they're not ready to take out their credit card, awesome. Now we got them on your email list. You can continue to communicate. Value, pitch. Okay, value, and then pitch them a mid ticket. Value, pitch them a low ticket. Value, pitch them a high ticket. Value, go back to the low ticket. Value, mid ticket. Doesn't matter. Like, I don't care about the order. People are going to be ready to buy certain levels of products from you at different times, and it's impossible for you to ever know that. So having a long sequence, giving them value and pitching them on certain things, that's how you do this. And it's great because then you get people buying continually from you all the time, different levels. And the coolest thing that I can share with a straight face to you and love the fact that I stumbled upon this is I've been doing this not for myself, but for clients for 4 years. It's what I called a funnel hub. And I thought I was like unique. It's not. All these platforms do it. They just don't call it a funnel hub. So when I got my first main stock client, we had a couple lead magnets. We had like a terms guide. We had simple little webinars I can opt in for. We had all these lead magnets. Then we had a low ticket $37 video training. That would sell every once in a while. And then we had the mid ticket. We had like a $497 options course We had a 697. This is what we did. Kind of cool. We did a 497 options course, a 497 futures course, and then we bundled both of them for 697. Like just normal sales and marketing, right? So that was our mid ticket. And then we had the $2,000 this trading professional trading strategies. their main big ticket program. They also have masterminds, which is above that, which we don't have. That is like a phone sale because it's $8,000-$10,000. So I built a funnel hub that they could get to from the main website, and they could also get to it from their socials. So anybody that wanted to work with these traders, and they might be thinking, I wonder what they have to offer. Well, instead of just sending them through one funnel and hoping they stay long enough to see the exact product or service that might help them, we just said, hey, here, take a look at everything we have to offer. More often than not, people would buy more expensive products and service than they originally wanted to buy. Why? Because if you're presenting them with, hey, here's my value ladder, very transparently, here's everything we offer, they're going to sit there and be like, well, we all would do this, right? It's human nature. It's our, our brains would look at this thing and be like, well, if it's free, what will we say? Probably not that good, right? It's probably not that big value, right? What about this low tick? $37, I might try that, but I really want to do good at trading. So what we found was when we sent people through the simple funnel of free lead magnet and then trying to upsell them on the $37, some people would buy. What blew our minds was, because these are digital services, there's no skin off our nose if people buy or they don't buy. Like there's no overhead. It's just a course, right? So they would hit this page, and we would get people buying the 497 and the 697 constantly because they chose, if I'm going to buy this, I might as well buy this, right? They're staying within that bucket, and they're wanting the best of their current budget. I don't want to waste any more time. I think they could give me the results that I'm looking for faster if I go up to this. And then other people that see that page are like, you know what? Why would I dick around with all these like little things? I'm just going to go for the high ticket. I'm just going to buy the $2,000 course and get the best thing. It says right here, last course you'll ever need to learn trading. Like, I'm just going to jump to this. And that's what happened. And it was like such an aha moment because we just, made a killing. Then I got other trading clients and we started doing the exact same thing. I can show you. So let me see if I can pull up. Let's see, market. This is a funnel that I built out that's got like 50 funnel pages in it. This is before, still works great. This is before high level. I'm actually it's so cool. I haven't looked at this in a while. I'm getting ahead of myself in my training for Inception by showing you this. So this is an example of a trading hub. Of a funnel hub for one of my clients. So Matt Janino runs Market Moves. Okay, so what we do here, it's a funnel. It looks like a website, but if I click on any of these, it sends you down to that section of this same page. This is the only page that's there. So we've got the premium options alerts. Okay, it's a trial that renews at XYZ dollars after the 7 days if they don't cancel. Okay, and then going down here, we split tested this and we switched it to the full courses. Instead of starting with the lead magnets, we started with the higher ticket stuff. Okay, if they're coming here to buy stuff, we might as well, let them buy stuff. And this is when before I had all my designers working for me, I designed all these covers of things, and I came up with the naming conventions, everything. We did market infiltration was the lower ticket one. If you keep scrolling down, now we get into books. Okay, now this is a printed book. You can go to Amazon and buy it, or free lead magnets. Okay, or you can buy the paperbacks. You got them, with Amazon. So everything on this page is either going to get them into the email list in certain segments of the. So like if they go after this flywheel strategy, we're going to segment them into the options because that's a specific option strategy. So now, well, there's no sense in putting them in a long sequence that's talking about futures. They might not want to trade futures. Let's get them where they want to go first and then, pepper them with other stuff. But anyway, this is the example of what a funnel hub looks like. This is everything at this point in time, which was probably a year and a half, 2 years ago. This was everything that this trader had to offer. Every course, everything. Now, I sat down with him before ever building this. He didn't have anything, nothing. He was just putting videos out on YouTube. And I'm like, all right, we need to start building out the value ladder. Like I knew enough to do this even back then. I'm like, we need to, and this was closer to 4 years ago now when I started with this guy. I'm like, we need to come up with some lead magnets. He's the expert, right? I don't have to be the expert. I'm like, hey, what kind of trading strategy could you just riff on? What could you talk about for 30 minutes without even taking a breath? Like you just know it like the back of your hand. He's like, oh, he's like, I know a really cool option strategy called flywheel. I was all right, stop. I need you to put together a course for that, whatever you're talking. I didn't even know it. I was like, whatever you're talking about, put a course together for that. He's like, okay, I'll do it. I was like, all right, what about blah, blah, blah. We just kept going and going and going. And then we built these things out. And so now what we had was like an octopus. The main like body, if you're thinking about an octopus, the main body would be this funnel hub. And then we had all these funnels specifically for each one of these items that we were running ads for. And so they would come in at all different spots. And at a certain point, there would be shown the funnel hub. So if they came in on here, they might be looking for something else. It's impossible for us to know that without talking to them. And we don't have enough human capital to talk to everybody. So we say, hey, here, just look at everything. You choose what's best for you. And that's what we did. And it started like going nuts. I mean, this guy, both of those examples, and I have several other examples that I did the exact same thing for. I can show you page after page after page. They all went from like 3 and 4 figure months to making hundreds of thousands of dollars every month. And the wild thing was they weren't even working any harder. They were doing the same. They were just trading, right? But their socials were gathering all these people from all parts of the planet into their funnels, and they were just buying stuff. Now, when did they buy? Some of them bought the first day. Some of them, like this other trading client that I was talking about earlier today, this is a completely different one. It's a traveling trader. That person bought yesterday, and he's opened 96 emails. Like it's who knows what it's going to take. My goal for my clients to get as many people at the top of this funnel as possible and to show them the offers without pushing them away. That's the dance. It's giving enough value to where their perceived value is higher than the price of whatever I'm trying to sell. You do that, infinite money glitch. You don't have to make anything. We don't have to ship anything. It just sells on its own at that point. So it's like, how do I sweeten this honey pot that somebody might want? Well, for you in this training, it starts with coming up with the plan before it's designing the path. Depending on your industry, this is going to be different for everybody. And it's impossible. I mean, if somebody tells you, I know exactly what's going to work, impossible. I can't tell you that having not been in your industry, even if I was in your industry. It doesn't work for every trader. It's the wildest thing. Now, the strategy, the process is the same, but how we get there with every type of client is different. And it makes no sense to me. It doesn't logically make sense that I could take one client and I could start off with low ticket and go directly to high ticket and it works. I try to do that with another client, doesn't work at all. I can't even start with low ticket. I have to start with mid ticket and then offer something of free value, and then I can go to high ticket. You're going to have to, this is why you're oscillating value ladder. It depends on who the client is and who their audience is. Audiences are all different because the type of industry you're in, the type of niche that you're in, demographics. People that are 60 years old, they make purchase decisions differently than a 25-year-old. So if your industry and your niche, if their ideal client is 25 years old, you can't sell to them like you can sell to a 60-year-old because a 60-year-old might want more information, right? They're willing to buy, they have the money, but maybe just give them more, or maybe not. Maybe in your industry, a 60-year-old's like, hey, I already know, I have all the information I could ever want. I'm just looking for somebody that can sell me the thing. Great, sell them the thing. So you have to be able to do that split testing and find that out. But once you figure out which one of these in what order works for your industry, you never have to figure it out again. And it'll keep working all the time. The only thing you're changing is the people you're showing the offer to. But the audience in that industry is going to be the same. You know, you've got a pool of people that will buy from a specific individual in a specific niche in a specific industry. Okay. That pool of people is made up of millions, like infinite numbers of combinations in each one of these, like people, like all the connection stuff. There's going to be people on the outskirts, and there's going to be people in the very, like, nucleus of this thing, but there's a common theme there. If you try to show the same marketing strategy to people over here, it's not going to work. But what I found is if you show it to the people in this group and they buy, you can find this type of group, which is why Facebook has lookalike audiences all over the planet. And if I have a converting funnel on day one and in day 10, the people that I had in my audience on day one are no longer buying, I just need to show it to a lookalike audience from that audience on day one, and more people will just start buying again. Sprinter method, selection. Who's the market you're going after? Okay, what do they look like? What's the avatar? We talked about that last Monday on the branding. How do I get close to these people? What platforms am I going to be on? How do I build intimacy? Well, how about you start going live and start asking them questions? There's no better way to build intimacy with people. I don't know of one other than short of being in the same room, which it's not possible. Uncovering their needs. What do they need? You know, let's say you're in the industry, you're like, Evan, I don't even know what people need in my industry. I don't even know what I would put. You're talking about mid-ticket. I have no clue. Well, how about you start asking questions? The more questions you ask, the more of their needs you're going to uncover to where you can now build a solution for them. You know, that's old school market research before the internet. I mean, I went to college way before I did digital marketing, and I took a marketing class, you know, knew nothing about marketing online. And if you go to a college marketing class, none of it's about, or at least wasn't when I went to school, it wasn't about online at all. It was about market research, old school market research, polling people, having people fill out surveys, you know, getting a big enough data pool of people so that the surveys actually mattered. You get 3 people to fill something out, well, it's not enough information, right? You get 1,000 people to fill something out, now you're talking. Now you can actually start directly selling to those people better. It's the law of averages. You know, you flip a coin 10 times, it could be 9 heads, 1 tails. I mean, it could happen, right? Well, you flip it 100 times, it's going to get closer to 50-50, but it could still be 70-30. Tails over heads, right? You flip it 1,000,000 times, it's going to be real close to 50%. Have you ever thought about the math on that? The more data you have, the closer you're going to get to the actual answer. But you can't wait forever. You got to start flipping that coin. Key number 3, retrieving lost users, the power of retargeting. When I was sharing those numbers earlier about my traders going from virtually nothing to hundreds of thousands of dollars, one of the key things that we did for every single one of them was retarget the people who saw XYZ but didn't take action. It's very easy to do. You can retarget people who have a page view as far as Facebook's concerned. If people see something, they view the page, but they don't opt in. They don't become a lead, or they don't schedule a call. They don't do whatever it is you're trying to get them to do. We would have left a lot of money on the table, and it might not even have worked long term if we weren't retargeting them. It costs less to retarget somebody. Why? Because you've already started building that intimacy. The first time somebody sees a cold ad from a new brand, the likelihood of them buying, very low, next to nothing. Okay? Most marketers, they don't like to hear that because they're like, oh, I want to put, $10 a day into these ads. It should sell. Why? Why should it sell? Like, they've never seen your product before. But now if I show it to them in an ad, and I'm going live and I'm being, virtual, I'm being organic on all these platforms, and then I'm retargeting them. Well, now they're seeing me everywhere, and they just assume everybody sees me everywhere. And now I'm a big deal in that person's head. And so now they're buying from me. So being able to retrieve lost users, which is why, some of these abandoned cart sequences, that was one of the first iterations of this, where platforms would allow you to send an email to someone who started filling out the order form and then left your page. They bounced the information. If they got through the email address, at least it would capture that and it would send an email. Hey, we saw that you had XYZ in your cart and you forgot to check out. Why don't you come on back? Okay. And the next day, if they still didn't buy it, there might be a discount. Hey, you were so close, would 10% off help, push you over the edge? We really think you want this XYZ thing. Oh, you know what? Yeah, I did need it. I was going to buy it anyway, but yeah, I'll take the 10% off. I mean, that was the first iteration. Now we get to retarget and remarket them across different platforms, whatever we're trying to sell them. Retargeting, the way that I understand it, the way I've done it, is going to be to show somebody another ad on the same platform for the same thing. Okay, I targeted you originally. You didn't take me up on it yet. So now I'm retargeting the same person with the same offer. Remarketing is when I'm going to leapfrog to a different platform. Could be talking to the same audience with the same offer, But, LinkedIn, I'm there for, professional stuff. I'm there to just kind of like check in with my sales team and blah, blah, blah. Facebook, I'm there for fun. Well, if I see something on LinkedIn and I'm being remarketed to on Facebook, even if you don't realize it, your brain records pretty much everything. So when you're scrolling, even if you scroll past an ad, your brain picks up on it. This is why remarketing is important, because then later in the day, you're on another platform, you start scrolling, your brain might say, hey, go back up a second, look at that one ad, and you look at it and you're like, it's familiar. You don't remember seeing it earlier in the day on LinkedIn, but like your brain on Facebook now is like, so it's a familiar thing. Okay, and then you just keep scrolling. Well, the next day, it's just as easy to show it to them on Instagram. And if they're on Instagram and they see it again, they're like, wow, let me read this now. Third touch point, it's all it's been. And now they're actually reading, what is this thing about? One of the wildest phenomenons in an ad I ever saw was this guy named Alex. I think his last name is Alex Shalinsky. I would see this guy. He was talking about how to run better Facebook ads, I believe at the time. This was years ago. The ad was the same ad on every platform, and he was spending a daggone fortune. It was the dumbest ad. It was him standing here pointing at a clock and looking back at the camera. I saw that thing everywhere for weeks, if not months. I just kept seeing it. I'm like, gosh, well, will this guy get off of my feed? I never even read the prime. I just didn't like the image. Like you see this image, it just kind of like irks you, and you just keep passing like this guy. So one day I'm like, man, what is this? What is this guy trying to sell? Like, for the love, let me just read it. What is he trying to sell? He had really good copy. Okay, like intriguing copy. So I'm not reading it and I'm like starting to get sucked in. I'm like, oh, okay, this makes sense. I'm like, okay, finally, now I know what this guy's trying to sell. Okay, I kept seeing it. He didn't even change the ad for retargeting. It was the same ad. I've never seen this done before. I'm sure other people have done it, but like it's the same exact picture of him looking dumb back at the camera, pointing at a clock. I kept seeing it for months, y'all, till finally I clicked on the ad one day. I'm like, I just got to know what it is. Now, think of how many other people were feeling the same way as me. And he probably got them a lot sooner than me because I was just like not wanting to see this. Well, eventually, he got me not just to click on his ad, but to see the long form copy on the landing page, to watch the video at the top of the landing page, and to actually buy his course. Months and months and months. Now, I say this is wild to hear. It just happened yesterday to one of my clients. A guy saw 96 emails. Like, who has to open 96 emails before they take action? Well, apparently that guy did. It's the wildest thing, what will work for some people. I don't know if that guy Alex knew what he was doing. I don't know if he was as smart as just like maybe he was lazy. Like, I'm just going to try this one ad. I'm just going to keep going. Well, eventually when it started working, there's no reason for him to ever touch it. And then he might have found into this phenomena where, wow, if I just show the same thing to someone a million times, everybody will eventually buy it just because, I don't know, like he's building intimacy every touch point, regardless of whether you like the ad or not. I mean, some of us have probably bought things where the first time we ever saw it, we weren't interested at all, or we just we didn't even like the thing, right? And then 6 months later, it's in our closet or it's, on our floor or in our car. Okay, mindset. Do not doubt what you already know to be true. All of you on this call should know by now, if you take the steps to do the right marketing to the right group of people for long term and you don't waver, you know it will work. Deep down, there's something to it. It works. So my question is, why aren't you doing it? If you're not, it's got to be up here somehow, some way. It's got to be a mindset issue. Because that's the only thing that makes sense. If you know XYZ will work and will get you to the promised land of whatever it is that you're wanting in life, but you're not doing it, the only answer can be it's a mindset issue.